Hello, everybody. This is Matthew Brand. Welcome to the Matthew Creed Podcast. And today I'm going to talk about a little show called 1883. And by talk about, I mean rant about. But I want to say off the bat, I don't think it's a horrible show. I really don't. It is worth a watch. Now, is it worth paying for a new subscription to, I would say, what is it, Paramount Plus? I don't know for sure. I haven't seen the original series Yellowstone. This is a standalone prequel. However, I will definitely say that the story itself is interesting. And as a matter of fact, I think a lot of the things in the show can go from a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, depending on what your likes and interests are. So, for example, let's say you like westerns, right? If a good western or even just a good story, I think it automatically starts off at a 7 out of 10. It's a decent show, right? If you have Paramount Plus, might as well go ahead and check it out. Would I buy it just for that, just because it's a okay, western style show? Maybe not. Now, moving on, the thing that gives it a little extra point is if you like either Harley Quinn romance, right? Because it kind of hits that note, or if you like, I'm going to say, not necessarily gunfighting, but if you like the grittiness of it, because a lot of westerns don't have this long running grit. Maybe you like Yellowstone, right? That might give it the extra point or point or two for you, right? To give it up to a 9 out of 10. What takes the point away for me is honestly the main character. Her name, I believe, is Elsa, and she's like if you took Elsa from Frozen and was the woman Daenerys Targaryen, right? It kind of meshed them together, and someone said, put them into a western. It's very, very much comes like a boardroom meeting character. She has a lot of monologues, which the story would be so much better. It could be so much more cut down, so much more enjoyable if her monologues weren't there. I That is my least favorite thing to look forward to the show. As a matter of fact, I would like to fast forward through her monologues. She's never really saying anything. She's mostly kind of waxing poetic on whatever she's feeling at the time. But her feelings are just kind of fluffy. I would say like they don't really ring deep to me. But maybe to someone like I said who likes Harley Quinn romance novels, that might be for them. However, she's also a very cliche character. She's one of those people who the I'm a bold woman, and I'm going to do things that women don't typically do, and I'm not going to have my mother or any man tell me what I can do, and I'm going to love whoever I'm going to love, and no one's going to stop me, and yada 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 yada. Like it, she's the very very basic character. Where I say she's kind of a mess between Elsa and Daenerys Targaryen, she has that aesthetic going to me, right? Also, being, and this may just be a me thing, it could be a black thing, whatever. I never really liked the white person fit into different culture movies. This is just me personally, right? I see it in what was those movies where the white person learns, hangs out with a bunch of black people and then becomes one of them, or the white person hangs out with a bunch of Native Americans and becomes one of them, or the white person hangs out in Thailand and becomes one of them, right? Japan, one of them. I that doesn't bother me as a necessarily as a story plot if it's done well. This one was, I mean, if it's subtle, right? If it's a nice subtle story plot, this one is kind of like insert self fantasy here. And the character, I think her name is, yeah, Elsa, not to be confused with, she has the look too, right? The Elsa Danis Targaryen look, the blonde braided ponytail in the back. And on top of that, and I've noticed this, I don't know why this is such a glaring annoyance for me in the show, but to me, it just, since it's so visual and it's kind of obvious once I noticed it, she's never dirty like every other character. If you look and watch the show, every other character gets kind of dirty, they get kind of wet, right? They're out in the plains, they're cowboys, doing all kinds of stuff. They look like they're doing things. And her, and I'm not going to really, uh, you know, um, give it. I'll try to avoid spoilers. I'm just going to say there's some Native American characters who come up later. They never really look like they've been in the wilderness like everybody else. But fair enough, the Native Americans kind of seem like okay, they're coming from home, right? If you're coming from your house, you probably wouldn't be as dirty as the people who've been like trying to survive in the wilderness for weeks. But she has, and she just never comes off really quite dirty. Um, the mother, I think she's played by Faith Hill. Um, she kind of gives off the uh, I don't know what to call it. Normal vibe. Like I'm a tough woman. I know what I'm doing. That's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. The dad, however, who is another main character, and the only main character that I'm not gonna say I don't like him. He's an enjoyable character, but he still feels like insert um, dad fantasy, right? Insert dad fantasy or insert I'd want to be that fantasy maybe, but I really see that it plays on a lot. It's very tropish, but overall, it's a pretty decent show. Like I'm going to continue watching that. I'm not so bothered by her. I can't watch it, and it's because there are other characters going on. She is clearly the main character. Like it all follows her monologue. We're listening to her in her head. We're not doing that with anybody else. But the other main characters are extremely interesting. I mean, you have what's the guy's name? Sam Elliott, right? Sam Elliott's playing a, um, a retired, a war veteran who I'm not going to spoil anything, right? But he's the one who's paid to lead these people to Oregon. Is a group of Germans. Um, he has a black, like I don't want to say, if I say partner, it might be taken the wrong way, but his person who works with him, right, is black. So not partner as he's dating a guy. It's just his partner in the show is a black man. They're the ones working together to get these people to Oregon. He's also doing very well for himself. He doesn't necessarily bother me as a character at all. Neither does I keep wanting to call him Virgil because he plays Virgil Earp on Tombstone. But yeah, the Sam Elliott does a great job. I like those characters. I'm interested to see what happens with them. Right. I'm also interested to see what happens with the rest of Elsa's family. I haven't watched Yellowstone, so I don't really know specifically what goes on. But the mother is a good character. However, I don't know. I don't want to say I dislike her. Uh, she does do okay. It just seems like I do feel like she could be a bit stricter, if that makes any sense. She just seems like they keep leaving her. I don't know what to say, but yeah, the girl's very pretty. The Elsa girl, right? She's considered in the show very pretty, right? The show considers her very pretty, but they're out in the wilderness with all these men, right? And they keep leaving her alone with people because they're like, well, she's a grown up and she can do what she wants to do. That is the odd like that just sounds absurd at a certain point, right? If you're willing to tell all these other people in the group what to do, or anybody who's under you, or even the leader of the group that he's traveling with, the father, I mean, the leader of the group and the cook and all these different people, everybody in these groups, they're willing to tell what to do and how to do it or else. But when it comes to his daughter, it's like, well, nothing I can do about it. She's made up her mind. it's it doesn't flow well for me. So to me, Elsa doesn't ruin the show, if that is her name. If it's not her name, then she might as well because she looks, they're going for that look. I don't even know if it's the woman who plays Daenerys Targaryen. I haven't seen Game of Thrones in so long, but I wouldn't be shocked. Like it wouldn't blow my mind if it was. They really went for that look, um, that blonde ponytail, independent, woman. Hear me roar look. Like I didn't know that was a trope, but I'm starting to realize that it is. And not that there's anything wrong, right, with everything in the show, right? It's a good show overall. However, she doesn't ruin it because there's so much other stuff going on. But she is a huge detriment to that. I would enjoy this show so much if she wasn't a part of it. she really, to me, doesn't contribute to anything in the show besides her own plot line. Like, they're all trying to get to Oregon. They all have their own struggles. She's kind of a foil for her mother, but every other character in the show doesn't really have much to bounce off of her. She's, once again, insert self fantasy here. And she even sometimes seems to have a monologue with people that she's not even around. So it's just, it's odd. It's an odd part of the show. She really doesn't work for me, but maybe she works with other people. Once again, I said if you like Harley Quinn romance novels, that might be for you. But if not, it's a good show where when it gets gritty, the gun fights are good. A bit unrealistic. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's very grounded." The gunfighting to me is what seems unrealistic, but I do understand like realistic gunfights wouldn't be that interesting. There is a really cool bar scene with the sheriff, so you can look forward to that. Like if you get to the episode where there's a sheriff, that bar scene's gonna be fun. It was fun for me at least, right? Very fun for me. I will say this, like personally, they make the handguns overpowerful and the shotguns underpowerful when it comes to guns. I notice people do that in shows like movies in Hollywood and stuff like that, right? You have people who like the handguns in the show make things explode when you shoot them, and I notice in this show and other shows they'll act like shotguns are literally uh, barely capable of killing a rabbit or a squirrel. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why that's the thing, but it is. Like Hollywood likes shotguns, but they don't like any other guns. It's very strange. And the revolvers back in these days, I mean, you're talking about little lead pellets. They didn't do as much as that. And then the rifles don't seem to do as much as I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Like if someone gets shot with a rifle, they kind of drop. When someone gets shot with a handgun, I mean, the bullet tends to just blast a hole in them, and it's really, really odd. But that's just my take on it. You seen the show? You let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Otherwise, peace out.